Hey Plant Fam! Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jacqueline. This is part of my jungle, and today I wanted to do a really quick care video on Calathea Orbifolia specifically. I wanted to do a whole entire Calathea care video, and then I realized that this is the only one I've been able to keep alive, and I haven't brought any more into my collection. So we can for sure do care tips on other Calatheas in the future if we acquire them, but I think that this is going to be care that you can apply to all of your Calatheas and prayer plants, including Marantas. This one in particular is a little bit less fussy, and I think that's why it's still alive and like growing. It's putting out another new leaf over here. Every time I think this thing is dying, it just puts out another leaf that's bigger than the last one, and I'm like, okay. I mean, we definitely still get crispy, but I feel like that's kind of just par for the course when it comes to Calatheas. And if your goal is to never ever have a crispy Calathea, then you're probably gonna have to keep it in a greenhouse situation where the humidity is really high and, you know, you're giving it ideal conditions, and even then you might still get some crispy edges. So I've just kind of learned to accept the crispy edges on this babe, and she definitely needs some water. I want to repot her. She is in something really tiny, but I think I'm going to pot her into something self-watering, and I don't have anything self-watering that's big enough for her right now, so we're going to have to hold off on that. Right now I just have her in this cover pot so that it's easy for me to just throw water at her whenever. So I'm going to start with the most basic thing, and that's light. So Calatheas do not like bright light, and I apologize if me pronouncing it as Calathea irritates you. I prefer saying it that way, and you can say Calathea, I can say Calathea, and it's okay. We don't need to argue about it. Okay. So they like, I mean, this one I have in bright indirect light, so I feel like you can kind of play around. I think this one is a little bit more tolerant of more light. I don't exactly know why, but it's pretty close to a grow light. It's not directly under it, but it faces the grow light, so it's telling me that it wants that light. So don't believe people when they tell you that Calatheas are low light. They are not low light. They will not be happy in a low light situation. They just do not want bright direct light because they will burn. These are very much like understory plants that grow on the ground in rainforests and stuff like that. So they're not getting bright light. They're protected by the canopy of other trees and plants and bushes and whatever goes on in their environment. So definitely play around with it. I think that starting in a lower light situation is not low light, but lower, like medium light is a good plan. And then you can start slowly giving it a little bit more and see how far you can push it until it starts to burn, if that's something that you want to do. But mine, I have a few feet pulled back from a southeast facing window, mostly east, a little bit southern facing window. So it's getting a little bit of morning light, but there's a lot of plants in the window kind of blocking the light, but there is also a grow light right there. So it's getting plenty of ambient light and a little bit of direct light that's pulled back. So take that as you want to, because I am not a Calathea expert and I'm not claiming to know exactly how to keep this thing happy. I'm just saying I've had it for over a year now, and it seems pretty happy to me. Like, this is a huge leaf. So I'm just telling you what I've done in my experience to keep this plant from dying, because this is not my first one. But I refuse to give up on it because I love these leaves. I think they're really, really beautiful. I love the lines in them. I love the silver. I love the veination. I love how it's like raised up. I don't know if you can tell, but it's beautiful. Absolutely stunning plant. I love how big the leaves can get if you can get it to live that long. So they started out really tiny, like down here you have these little baby leaves. And then in my possession, it put out this one, then this one, and then this one. So there's another one that it's working on down in here in this cataphil. So I'm excited to see if the next one's gonna come out even bigger than this one, or what's gonna happen next. So that is the light situation. Humidity. I think that these actually surprisingly do pretty well in regular room humidity, as long as your humidity is not dropping below like 50–60% for long periods of time. It should be fine, but I think that depends on where you live. I have not had my humidifier on for quite some time now because it broke, and this plant is still doing fine. All the plants are actually still doing completely fine without the humidifier. So I think the humidifier like helps a little bit, especially with my philodendrons, to unfurl their leaves because they like to get stuck. But I don't know. I don't know if it's actually really doing all that much good for my Calatheas and my begonias, because they're still growing and thriving just the same as they were when it was on regularly. So I don't know, take that with a grain of salt. You do you, boo. I am not telling you whether or not you should have a humidifier, but that's for everybody to decide on their own if they feel like they need one for their space. So humidity, I mean, the more humidity they have, the happier they are for sure, but I don't feel like this Calathea in particular requires excess humidity. If you keep it grouped with other plants, or maybe keep it in a pebble tray, make sure that it's staying moist, like, and not drying up, then I don't think that you need a humidifier for this one. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments below politely and why you disagree. So next obviously would be watering. She's thirsty as hell, you guys. I call her a humidity hoe, but really she's just thirsty. Like, she's really thirsty. Like, I throw water at her probably like every 4 or 5 days, and even then she still doesn't always seem super happy with me and like thirsty and kind of droopy. But she's living and she's growing, so I must be doing something right, you know. Definitely want to keep this in a soil mix that is not going to be too well draining. You want to make sure that it's properly aerated. So I like to mix my regular potting mix with my De La Tanks potting mix that has coco coir, it has pumice in it. It's very chunky. So I'll use that on its own for like aroids and Hoyas and stuff that like to be in a chunky mix. But when it comes to thirstier plants, I will mix it like half and half, depending on the plant, with my regular soil. So definitely recommend keeping it in a well-draining soil, but not one that is going to dry up within a few days if you're watering it, or else you're going to be watering this thing like every other day. And with that said, I also think that something ceramic or glazed is your best option instead of something more porous like terracotta, because again, that is going to suck up the moisture from the soil and dry out your plant faster. I mean, if you want to water it every day, then like you do you, boo, that's fine. Everybody's environment is different. If you live in a more naturally humid environment, then these things may not apply to you. But here in the Northeast, I need to be very careful about what plants I put into terracotta and other clay pots, because in the summertime, they suck all of the moisture out of the plant in like a day. So I get frustrated feeling like my plants always need constant watering. So definitely when it comes to Calatheas, I like to keep them in a heavier mix, obviously with proper aeration, like I said, and in something that's going to help hold on to the moisture, not a pot that is going to suck the moisture out of the soil. Do you understand what I mean? Or in a self-watering pot. I have some here that I'm going to be trying out on some smaller plants when I need a bigger one for this one. Okay, so watering. Not only do you want to make sure you're watering it frequently, but you want to make sure that you are using either filtered or distilled water, rainwater, whatever works for you, but please don't use tap water on these plants. I mean, as long as you don't care about crispy brown edges, which can happen from lack of humidity, but I think more commonly than anything happens from the water that you're using to water your plants with, especially if it's kind of around the edges like this, because any extra like chlorine or salt or minerals that are in your soil, your plant perspires, and it's going to try and get rid of excess moisture through its leaves. It is a normal thing that your plant does. I forget the name for it. I think it starts with a G. It's not technically perspiration, but it's similar. So that's why you'll notice sometimes after you water your plants, you'll get little like dewdrops on the leaves the next morning or the next day. You'll notice it's because the plant is constantly like siphoning water up from the soil and up and out into the environment. That's why plants actually create their own humidity. And if you group them together, they will be happy together if you're trying to increase the humidity without getting a humidifier. I also, in the wintertime, I have old like radiators. So I like to take like mugs of water and put them on there and help just kind of increase the humidity. Just random glasses of water around. You might get some fungus gnats, but it'll be more humid. So for fungus gnats though, if you guys are interested, I can do like a pest management like 101 video and show you everything that I use for different pests. Let me know in the comments below if that's something that you want to see. When it comes to pests for these guys, they're definitely spider mite magnets. So you want to keep these leaves clean. I am constantly wiping these. I mean, these are dust collectors because they're literally just this big, huge flat leaf. She got hit with thrips a little bit as well, so some of her leaves down here are still damaged from the thrips, but there are no more thrips on this plant. Thankfully, I've eradicated majority of them. I still see signs here and there, so we are always treating for that as well. Again, we'll make a pest management video if you guys want to know more about what I do to eradicate the thrip situation from my space. And yeah, these want to be fertilized when they're growing. I don't believe in that whole plants going dormant over the winter and not fertilizing them. This plant has been growing all winter. If your plant is growing, it's hungry. So if it's growing, you should 100% still be fertilizing it. I think that I covered everything when it comes to this plant. Definitely don't need to be misting it or any of those silly things that people do to try and increase the humidity. Misting your plants only increases the humidity for like 30 seconds. So unless you're standing there like all day long, like it's not actually really doing anything. And arguably having too much moisture accumulating on top of your leaves can cause fungal problems, mildew problems, like things that you don't want to deal with. So even if you are using a humidifier, try and make sure that it's not like directly on any of the leaves. Do you know what I mean? Do you feel me? So yeah, if you guys want to see me repot this into a self-watering container and see how it does, like we're definitely going to be doing more repotting once we move all the plants over to David's, because I don't want to shock them too much. So I feel like if I bring them over there, let them acclimate to their new environment there first, and then repot them. So anything that's not like an emergency repot, I'm kind of just putting on the back burner right now. So yeah, anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments below if you have a Calathea or Orbifolia, if you like Calatheas, if you hate that I say Calathea instead of Calathea. Let's all be kind to each other though, it's just for fun, okay? And yeah, let me know if you have any other Calatheas that you think are easygoing. I'm in the market for a Zabrina. I'm just waiting to find the right one. I've heard that those are pretty easy. I've had a Makoyana before. That one was fairly easy to care for. I was just still new to plants, so I killed it because I was told that it was low light. And it's not. It's not low light. It's not low. These are not low light plants. Please do not put any of your plants in the dark. They will die. Okay. None of them want low light. It's a lie. Okay. There are some plants that will survive and prefer not to be in bright, harsh light, but like your plants want light. Okay. So please, 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 please stop putting them in dark corners, especially your Calatheas and your prayer plants, because they will not be happy. So that is that. I am gonna go. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more care videos about very specific plants instead of the whole entire genus, I am more than happy to do that. Leave me suggestions in the comments below of plants that you are struggling with, that you want me to help you figure out what the hell they want. I might be able to help. I guess I know some stuff after taking care of plants for almost 3 years now, so that's my story. I'm gonna go. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. That really, really helps me out. If you're watching my videos regularly, please make sure you are subscribed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads, you don't miss any of my live streams, you don't miss any of my announcements when I have coupon codes, different things like that. I've been trying to post a lot of polls. I think those are fun. So if you're subscribed, you'll see those come up in your feed as well if you want to be a part of them. And yeah, I think that's it. There's a join button down there if you guys want to be even more part of the conversation. I have a private group chat for my members. We hang out, we do stuff, they help me pick my thumbnails and stuff like that. So if you're interested in hanging out and being part of the community, then definitely come join the official plant fam. I appreciate the support, that's for sure. This is my full-time job now, so any support is very, very, very much appreciated so that I can continue to make content for you guys. So I'm gonna go. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you watched this whole entire video, leave me, I don't know, I feel like I want to say like moon emojis or like planets, because I keep thinking like Orbifolia and like things orbiting and like orbital and like round stuff. Do you guys understand my train of thought there? So leave me some planets, some universe stuff, and I'll be happy because I like those emojis. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I love you, fam, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye. I can't reach you.